The end of the rumors.
This is the causal diagram.
With challenges, levels, that's it, this is it, the Minecraft game. As I write this video, Mojang has just released version 1.20.2, and apart from a few bug fixes, there's nothing really new. Right now the content of the latest version, 1.21, is still well unknown, whether some speculate that it will be an end update based on the trailer. On April 2022, an account on X was created. The account description: former games industry insider, a badger, Roger Badgerman. This Twitter user uploaded content from future updates before they were released, like these sniffer findable flowers. On March 17, a final message marked the end of his journey, and with it, the end of the rumors surrounding this account. Today, other users are continuing this trend, like Dan Gioni, and yet the secret of the next update remains a secret. Minecraft is a game where everything's possible. It's simple, you appear in a world, your life, your food bar and inventory, and that's it. There is no specific objective. You set your own goals. I could talk about this game for hours, but if you don't know much about it, I recommend the Ego video if you're French and the Rasputin video if you're English speaking. But wait, you have plenty of time to look at it later. Around 2013, I discovered Minecraft with Pierre's channel, one of the pioneers of Minecraft videos on YouTube. Then I learned to widen my view. Zephyr and his creation of playing in Minecraft, even though we were only the version 1.7. I fell in love with Mr. Moustache's daring role-playing game. His grand adventure or the lost world with Selecti. It's in French, but the laugh and the thrills are universal, so let's listen to it a bit.
Derrière cette dernière existe une tombe, trouvez-la. Mais c'est quoi ces énigmes? Il s'est pris pour le père Fouras ou quoi? En fait, je n'ai pas faim. Non, ne mourrez pas. Bisous. Mouah. Mouah. Oh là là. Il vous fait mal mes bisous depuis quand?
Today, I've grown up. I look at Minecraft from a different angle, the system dynamics angle.
As you remember, this is the causal diagram for the Deer Model 3 that you've been working with, going in a natural direction with only a policy of removing...
System dynamics is, for example, a stock. There is an input flow and an output flow. For example, my food stock. The input stream is meat, it's a fairly slow flow. You don't find cows all the time in Minecraft. The stock is the amount of meat I'll have in my inventory or in a chest. The outgoing flow is me eating the meat. If I eat more meat than I collect, then I'll have less and less stock in my inventory, and at some point I'll have nothing left to eat. If, on the other hand, I found a lot of cows and don't eat much, the amount of meat in my inventory will increase. But in reality, we're all used to managing these stocks and flows. We just don't put words to it. Minecraft is a game with an enormous number of systems. The enchantment system, for example, which requires experience, books and bookshelves. It's the obsidian and the diamond that unlock it. And in reality, there's leather, paper, so sugarcane, behind the books, and trees behind the woods. You need to go into the cave system to collect lapis lazuli, and for the library you need leather and paper. Leather is scarce. The more you kill, the less you have. You can't counteract this by using the wheat feedback loop. The more wheat you have, the more you can reproduce. Sugarcane is easier to obtain. The more it grows, the more there is, the more you can grow. Now that you understand how I see the game, I'd like to tell you about a system, a specific system, the food system. What it promotes, what it requires. This will be a brief, very brief version. If you'd like the full version, please click on the card at the top or on the link in the description. Let's start. I've categorized food systems by biome. In Minecraft, when I spawn, I'm in a biome. Here, for example, it's a taiga biome, a cold biome with little food. Yet, it's one of the few biomes to be more or less balanced. Marie is 8 years old. She's looking forward to the presents her father promised her. So she opened the package and that's it, this is it, the Minecraft game. She'll finally be able to play what her friends have been telling her about. So she settles down, starts playing. She appeared in a taiga. She knows from her friends that she must find food to survive. But there are only sheep, pigs or wolves, which she's very afraid of. The last thing she wants to do is kill animals. So as best she can, she searches and finds sweet berries. She won't find anything else until 5 days later she finds a village. The World Health Organization, in its Healthy Diet report, explains the proportions of food to be consumed in a typical week. 400 grams of fruits and vegetables a day, 180 grams of cereals, and a maximum of 160 grams of meat or beans. In proportion, this gives 55% fruits and vegetables, 25% cereal-based foods, 12% beans, and 8% meat. This does not take into account climate issues, for which we should do without meat if possible. That's a subject for another video. But let's fill in the diagram, shall we? First meat, okay, it's filled in. Next the rest. Here's the subject I want to talk about. Players who don't want to eat meat in Minecraft for religion, personal, climate commitment reasons are held back by the game's design. Let's look at two other biomes. Savannah, for example. Okay, come here with me. So, if Marie was in Savannah biome, she could only find 4 different types of animal food. So cow, sheep, chicken, pig, and perhaps ostrich products, if ostriches were added to the game. During the night, she could find rotten flesh and spider eyes, which is not a very good type of food. She could find pumpkins, which she can only do pumpkin pie with, and she would need eggs for this. Finally, she could have some bread, which would take a very long time to make, as wheat takes a long time to grow. And only if she finds a village, she would have access to potatoes and carrots. But that's it. If there is no village, she would have almost only animal meat and just bread, but there is a lot of constraints in doing the bread food. Finally, let's look at the plains and forests, a place where, in theory, we should find plenty of food. Okay, so this one is a bit more complicated, but it will be okay, stay with me. So first there is the animal type of food, so chicken, rabbits, cows, sheep, and pig. Then in the rivers, if there is a river, you could find cod and salmon is the only one I think that spawns naturally. At night, she could find also rotten flesh and, as we said, like spider eyes, which are not very good, and pumpkin pie. She could try to do the same wheat producing method, which takes a lot of time, so concentrate on the vegan type of food. If she finds a village, she have access to plenty of food, but it's only if she finds a village, which is not always the case. And finally, there is like honey, which is tremendously hard to get, and same for the apples, which have a very low drop rate from leaves. The other biomes analysis can be found in the more detailed video. So that was the analysis of the gameplay in the biomes. Summing it all up, we find this table. For each biome, you have the difficulty of acquiring food on the left. So direct loot, very easy to get. Needs cooking, you need something to cook. If village, only if there is a village. Takes time, the thing you have to grow. Too much effort and no food, it's usually the things you don't use to get some food. And at the top, whether it's vegan or animal. So ideally, when there's something in the animal category, you'll need to have something in the vegan category as difficult as the animal category. For instance, in the desert, a vegetable or cereal food would have to be as difficult as catching a rabbit. So I can give you in the description these charts, and you can see yourself where there is a blank hole and what you could have instead of nothing inside of it. For example, I tried myself to add in the plains and forests some food to balance the animal type of food. So I added nettle, so nettle soup, and the wild tomatoes, which you would not need to grow on harvested fields. I also added lettuce, which could be kind of interesting. And for the eggs, I added fried eggs, which would a bit balance the lettuce in the takes time category. And finally, the milk bucket could be turned into cheese, which would be very yummy. In the river biome, I added clams, which is not vegan, but is still like not worse than killing a fish directly for some people. In the cold biome category, there is still the nettle, which would spawn here naturally, and the rest, nothing changed. For the swamps and mangrove, the nettle and nettle soup are still there, spawning naturally, and that's basically it. We could have some other things. In the jungle biome, there is some food, which is like the melon slices, which are very low food compared to the rest. So I added green pepper, which we could do pepper salad with, which could be yummy. I don't know, it depends on your taste. For the savanna biome, you have ostriches, which could be added, so they could lay down eggs. So it would be an ostrich egg you could eat without eating the animal meat. And there is also the baobab juice, which you could get. You would not have to harm animals to do this. For the taiga biome, there is still the sweet berries and the nettle, which would be balanced to the meat type of food. For the badlands, there would be cactus flowers, which are planned to be developed. So they would give prickly pears, which could be eaten directly, and choke cherry tree, which would give choke cherry. And with choke cherry and prickly pear, you could make a fruit salad, which could be also very yummy. And the vulture, which has been added, could give you, not by killing it, but it could give you rotten flesh without you asking. For the dessert, there is a cactus, which could give cactus juice, and the palm tree could give coconuts. For the caves, I've changed nothing, as you still have to get food before getting into a cave. That's kind of a general principle. For the ocean type of thing, there is clams, which are added, but also carrageen moss, which is a type of moss, or kelp, if you say so, that can be eaten directly. Finally, for the nether, nothing changed. And for the end dimension, nothing changed, as there is the chorus fruits. All in all, I think Minecraft food system has come a long way since the alpha version. With the update of the taiga biome, we can clearly see the attempts at balancing. Yet, why not make these balances an update, an opportunity that pushes the player around? For example, add fruits and vegetables that are easy to grow, that don't take too long to grow, or that don't require plowing. Another suggestion would be to add more possibilities with existing ingredients. For example, we can't eat eggs or make pumpkin soup. Cooking is all about crafting, whereas, like archaeology, it could be a fun, entertaining concept with challenges, levels, and a table to cook at. Recipes could be unlocked thanks to the village cooks, with the recipe cannot be made. A level up system. Finally, one thing to bear in mind, the final recipes must be able to compete with meat. Otherwise, killing animal will remain an advantage in the game. More non-animal foods must be able to fill the food bar. Of course, I'll be happy to share some of my research with any Mojang employees, if one happens to watch this video. As cultural inspiration, recipes from around the world might be interesting. Just as I was finishing the video, Alan Baker released a video that does a great job of answering the question of balancing or the level up system. So thank you for watching this video. It was a pleasure for me to make it. I hope you enjoyed it and I wish you a very nice day. Sincerely, Wingson.